I said it straight up.
Everyone else has been like, are you cold?
Alright,
She's got a puffer coat on, man. She's good, man.
so we're live. It's going to take a few minutes for people to kind of
Okay.
tune in and get the email.
Let me, because Ayisha had a good intro. Do you want to?
Okay, cool, I don't mind.
Do you want to hold it if you want?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So Drake's album's out, and Twitter is upset. Well, let's say a lot.
You know, we might as well wait because no one's looking though. No one's there.
Oh, was that fair enough?
No one's actually on it. Yeah.
What, do we wait?
I don't matter, because, yeah, let's do it. See, Snap's trying to sabotage the thing, you know. Come on, bruv. Ayisha, sorry. Go ahead, baby.
So Drake's released an album, a new album. A lot of people on Twitter, on the US side, are quite upset that it features British artists. Now the debate has turned into UK rappers versus US rappers. US rappers claim they don't understand British lingo. They claim that British rappers aren't as technically skilled. And they are upset. I mean, I don't really understand. Drake's Canadian for me, so I don't know why they need American rappers on there. British and Canadian culture is quite similar.
Probably more so than
Yeah.
Definitely more so than Americans, 100%.
What I find funny about it is, I mean, because what you said is, firstly, I don't actually think it's the rappers. I think it's the fans, to be honest, because in actual fact, and I don't want this to become about the rappers that were on the project, because I think all that's happened is this project has opened up a much bigger issue that's always been there. But I know for a fact that Giggs is somebody that knows who his audience is, like caters to his audience. He means a lot to his audience. They love him. And I know that that's the most important thing. So I don't actually think the artists in question give a fuck. I very much, and I might be wrong, Giggs, if you're watching, tell me I'm wrong if I am, but I have a strong feeling that Giggs doesn't give two fucks if a bunch of Drake stans in America or on the internet don't like his music. Because I think Giggs is very aware of who his demographic and who his audience is, and he speaks very, very well to that demographic. But with that being said, I think it's ironic that American artists who will accept Young Thug or Future or artists they literally cannot understand, but have a problem and can't understand an English accent. And they'll listen to dancehall and not understand anything that's being said, but they'll listen. But then also on the flip side of that, you have to also understand that we've got this entitlement as Londoners. Why the fuck would they give a shit what we're doing? Why would they? Like I used this analogy before, if for the most part, and again, I'm not talking about the artists on the project, but as a whole, our UK rap scene, doesn't really understand hip hop. The average rapper, their knowledge of hip hop goes back to the early 2000s at best. They don't understand the culture. They get the slang wrong for the most part. So imagine this equivalent. Imagine Australian people decided that they wanted to do dancehall music, but they only discovered dancehall at Sean Paul. And then they got all the slang wrong, and then they got mad that Jamaica didn't want to hear what they were doing. Why would Jamaica want to hear what they were doing?
Okay.
I do think that's an inaccurate analogy a bit, but I'll let Sam.
The reason I say I agree with Steve is because Australian people definitely can't, what's the correct word, sympathise or be able to empathise to the same with Jamaican people.
Well, Aboriginal people can't.
Well, you said Australia, so
let's say fair enough.
But even Aboriginal, they're not going to be able to associate the same, get a Jamaican person same perspective on a dancehall beat as they would be able to if they're coming from where they're coming from.
But you think an English person could with American hip hop?
To an extent, yeah, and I'm saying more than Aboriginal people with yardies. That's what I'm saying.
What about how white people do reggae?
That's different. Yeah, cool. I hear that. But I think that's about research. So same people we were saying last week, running Rodrigan, you can't go to a Jamaican's house and slag off Rodrigan because people know that he's a fucking legend in the shit. You know what I'm trying to say? If they've made their opinion probably of UK artists off the two tracks, Kiss My Teeth, and what was the other one? Something No Way Back or something. There was another track.
No Long Thing.
There you go. No Long Thing. Cool. So they made their opinion of UK rappers based off those two tracks. So that's like me saying, okay, listen to this one American artist and base all hip hop from America off that.
No, of course. I fully agree, and this is why I don't want to actually use the examples of this particular album because I actually don't think, I think Giggs is a great representation of I was singing. I don't think he's a bad representation. If you're a US rapper that only listens to Kendrick Lamar and Talib Kweli and super lyrical artists, then if you didn't like what Gibbs was doing, then maybe it's not for you. But like you're talking about your average hip hop fan that buys Drake's music, probably also buys Future, probably also buys Young Thug, and buys a lot of artists who they can't understand. Yeah, I don't see why they would have a problem understanding.
But the issue isn't that they can't understand them. It's the issue is in the music, the actual musicality of what is coming out of the UK. Like it's completely like even if you talk about current hip hop, right? That's popping in the States.
Yeah.
They're equally as out of touch with the origins of hip hop.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But
I was gonna say,
but if you actually look at the highest selling artists in the US right now, it's people like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole who really they're not out of touch with.
But maybe there might be some old school Jamaicans who are like, yo, American hip hop is very different to what we brought to New York or whatever back in the very origins of hip hop. So like, where do we leave space for these music, this type of music to grow and develop and derivatives of that come from? Because that's where all our music comes from, something else, like, do you know what I mean? And it changes and it slips and blah blah blah, and you add your little vibe and then it becomes what we know it as, do you know what I mean?
For me, it's about a lack of respect in terms of like, Americans just don't respect British culture. And I don't think they want to respect it.
They don't respect anyone's culture.
But the because the Londoners I'm seeing complain, they won't even listen to a rapper from Birmingham or Manchester because they don't like the accent. So it's true. Like it's literally, I don't understand this.
So I guess
how many English people you know listen to French rap or Australian rap or Japanese rap or German rap or?
I think that's
the same thing.
That's a language thing.
Okay, Australian rap.
But I also say, I think that's the same thing. The same way London people be snobby about listening to people from Birmingham and Manchester and so forth, the same way Americans will be snobby about listening to British rap. They're all doing the same thing.
But the difference is it's something that they created.
Okay.
Well, yes and no. I guess they didn't create it from the ground up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
but it was birthed out of an experience of American.
But forgive me if I'm. You can please school me if I'm wrong, because hip hop's not really
I know
my
what you're about to
forte.
say, and we're gonna have this
Yeah, like it doesn't hip hop have some origins maybe not in America? Like did it come from say Jamaica? Like, do you know what I'm saying? And it came to America, and it grew, and it matured.
Jamaica. This is the thing. People love to bring up that fact about Kool Herc being Jamaican, And listen, when I say this, if you are from the Bronx and you grew up in that time and you want to talk to me and correct me on this, then please feel free to do so, because I know academia doesn't actually equate to experience. But this is something that I passed my degree on doing a 10,000 word essay on this particular topic, right? Kool Herc came from Jamaica, he came from a dancehall background. He's the first to say that when he came to America and he started DJing, the technique that he brought from Kingston didn't work. They didn't want to hear reggae music, they wanted to hear funk and soul music. If you look at all these hip hop breakbeats, they were funk and soul records. It was James Brown and it was Maceo and Max and it was all of these people. And whereas he had an element of his style was rooted in Jamaica, what he was playing and the music what actually birthed the music wasn't Jamaican music.
What about the vocals on the music? Is that
even the toasting? That's as much rooted in what people like James Brown were doing. You know, because the other thing is there's also a huge argument to say that Herc wasn't actually the first to do it, and he also wasn't the most influential in the growth of it from there. It was more Flash and Bambaataa that pushed it forward. So I get it, and I'm not saying you when I say this, but I saw this all over Twitter today. The same people that will tell you, I don't care about old hip hop, they don't even know who Rakim is. But they're the first to say, but Kool Herc was Jamaican. It's like, okay, so you know of one fact that happened in 1973, but then you know fuck all until Puffy started making pop music in 97. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, so there's definitely, I'm not saying that there wasn't a Caribbean influence, of course there was, but that's the thing with anything new, it is,
taken from
it has to be a mixture of different things. Otherwise, you're just replicating something that already exists. So there's definitely.
Maybe it's the time to move on to something new with that genre of music, and maybe the influence of UK kind of musical artists is where the new direction. Maybe that is a new direction.
We said that we're not comfortable with change. Nobody's really comfortable with change.
But I think the reason maybe I'm wrong, but I think possibly the reason people are so upset is that on the 2 tracks, Gig spun Drake.
Really?
He was better. He was actually better than Drake. So I think it could be to do with the fact that he was actually good. Like the UK artist was actually good. Like what?
See,
how can English
this is a
people
tough
actually rap like
conversation.
that?
This is a tough conversation for me because the example of what's come out today, I don't have a problem with because I think Giggs is a good representation, and I don't think like if I don't think he's someone that would be embarrassed in on a platform to showcase what we've done. But I think for a long time, I feel like the UK scene as a whole is quite an embarrassment. And then we support everything. We support everything because it's Team UK, you've got to support it. And I would say, alright, cool, keep supporting shit. And then when it's actually put on a platform for the world to see it, you're gonna really find out how shit that you've been supporting is. So I'm kind of like torn on this particular issue because whereas I've been thinking that for a long time, I feel like it's unfair that that's the backlash we're getting on this particular example because I don't think it is shit. I think it is good. I think it is a good representation.
No, but
so
I know we don't really want to talk about the song in question, but if you actually listen to the song in question, it's like I'm with you. I rate Giggs. I think he's dope, and I'm with you as well. I think most UK rap is terrible. But in terms of what he is in terms of what he brought to that particular song, No Long Thing, his certain rhyme scheme thing, like how can anyone? Have you heard the joint?
I've heard it, but to be honest, I've listened once to both.
But I'll say this as well,
I think
it's quite unfair when people always compare US rap to UK rap because even though we speak the same
it's
language,
not unfair at all.
But I'm going to explain myself. So even though we speak
Reggae gets compared to Jamaican reggae, wherever it is in the world.
Even fucking train of thought.
You said you don't like that.
Even though we're speaking the same language, I still feel that because British rap has always been the kind of like bastard version of US rap, UK rap has always tried to emulate that. So I think it's only right about now, in this time, UK rap is actually starting to find its feet and actually starting to be comfortable in their own skin.
No, but what has it found though? As far as I can see, it's edging to more and more towards American rap than it ever has.
I can say that on the rap side. On a rap side, I could say that.
If you talk about Section Boys, it's becoming like back in the day, Jest, Task Force. That was UK.
No, but let's be honest. Listen, I'm a big fan of Jest and Task Force.
Yeah,
but it's never been solely UK. It was still what Jest and Task Force were doing is they were still emulating a US sound. But they were emulating a much better US sound than what today's artists emulate. Today's artists emulate
the bottom of the
barrel.
barrel.
Bottom of the barrel sound as opposed to what Jest and Task Force were. I'm not saying they just copied, because obviously there was, as far as what they were talking about and what they were discussing, but if you listen to the production, like it was heavily influenced by Pete Rock and Premier and like the 90s kind of like boom bap producers. You know, in the same way that production today is influenced by Michael Made It or whoever else. You see what I'm saying?
This is the thing. Similarly, you're saying that we haven't found our feet, whatever. The reason I think I understand what you're saying, right? But the reason I disagree is because you've got tracks with both US and UK artists where in the past you'd have UK artists trying to use the slang from America, whereas now you've got US artists using slang from the UK.
Only just one.
Wait,
you've got one.
Tory Lanez and Bryson Tiller.
What do they say?
But they like waste.
Tory Lanez is Canadian as well.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It's not a US artist; it's a Canadian artist, but arguably the biggest hip hop artist in the world.
It's not in big numbers in the way that we're using lit.
I know.
Or are they using Jamaican slang?
I just say urban, but cool.
Because a lot of the Toronto slang, when I hear people saying, "Oh look, they bit this from London," I'm like, "That's Jamaican slang."
We loads of shit. I don't even know why British people say feds because there's no feds in this.
Lit, fam.
Even the N-word.
Even the N-word.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Even the N-word is co-opted from.
But to your point though, we would never dress the way we dress now. If it was, we're talking about Skepta dressing in night tracksuits to go on stage and perform at.
It's just him though. It's him one.
Yeah, I know, but we're talking about people finding our feet. But Teef said we're starting to find our feet. So I do agree. We're starting to get that whole thing
Skepta
of.
wears.
I'm British and
There's also.
That's why we're wearing our clothing. We're wearing
Can I say something? Firstly, Nike's an American brand.
I know, but I'm saying they don't wear it. They're emulating.
See that thing? That whole Skepta goes on stage in a Nike tracksuit. Yeah. He wasn't in a Nike tracksuit. He was in a Nike. He was in a Supreme tracksuit.
Okay.
He was in an all black Supreme tracksuit.
But I'm not talking about. I'm maybe not talking about the same thing. I'm not talking. What are you talking about, Skepta on stage?
It's when he went to the Mobos and he had an all black
I'm not talking about
tracksuit,
the
and everyone was like, "Oh, Skepta's in a Nike tracksuit." It wasn't. It was a black Supreme tracksuit. It was an all
Okay, I
black
don't
Supreme
know.
tracksuit.
Probably.
Yeah.
But he does wear that stuff.
I'm saying just in general, like he's actually repping the way we dress in this country. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be a brand from the US,
Yeah.
fair enough.
He's
But the
very
way
proud that he's
like
He's got the
actually
Union
dresses
Jack on his
like
body.
He dresses like a youth from Tottenham. Do you know what I'm trying to say? If you go to Tottenham, you're gonna see a youth on the corner.
But where do you think a lot of that style came from? Because even when Grime came out, and everyone was like, I remember the Grime, not even the artists, but the fans be like, they never liked SAS when they say, because they were saying they spoke too American, and they dressed too American, which was so ironic, because SAS were wearing Fendi and Gucci and Prada and Italian like designer brands, and all the Grime artists were wearing academics tracksuits, new era caps, and calling each other fam.
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, where do you think that comes? Do you think that's British? Academics tracksuits
But
are
in
British.
that instance, I think they're more talking about the accent, you know what I'm saying? And how they rap and what tongue they use to rap. But let's all be honest, man. Like SAS was heavily influenced by the Americans when in terms of how they spoke. And Grime artists and Grime. But I'm not disputing whether they live in it or not. But I'm just saying, like, just looking at actual.
The facts of
exactly what we're talking about. But Grime
At the
artists,
time, it wasn't even the Grime artists were them lot were talking. Even the baseline. Even the what you know. I don't know anyone who speaks like
and
that.
we're still talking in essentially like London slang. Like and that was what people were speaking about. Not necessarily the aesthetic of their clothing. You know what I'm saying?
But it was that as well. It was that. Like the amount of times, them man are dressed in American. Them man like I hear that all the time.
Just appropriating other people's culture.
But that's what British people have been doing. Like
And historically as well, economically, politically, that's what we do.
The reason British people don't realise that they do it is because they don't have a long enough
they don't have that.
understanding of history
I would agree
of the
there.
music
I
that
would
they're
agree.
reappropriating.
I would
But they
agree.
think what they're doing is British. I've heard people say to me, yeah, Air Max 95, that's a British thing. Really? Well, you never watch rap videos from 95, bro. Because all they were wearing in New York was Air Max 95s. Go to New York and speak to anyone and they'll tell you that. Like, the amount of shit that we think that is ours. I even hear it with Polo. Like Ralphie, oh, that's a British thing. Are you crazy? You know about the 80s, low life people.
Maybe it's because
British people literally, we always think we've invented everything.
But like you said now though, that a lot of people now have no idea what was happening before 2000. Do you know what I mean? So their experience is this. Do you know what I'm saying? So same way like I might be like, oh, I'm British. Someone will be like, fam, 200 years ago you weren't British. Like so, but this is what I know now. This is my life and my experience. So maybe it kind of comes from there.
I want to ask a question to the group.
Yeah.
Are we saying that basically before you attempt to adopt any style of music or any genre of music, you have to go? Say again?
No, so you have to be there.
No, I'm saying. Are we saying that?
I think so, of course.
Is that what we're saying?
I personally believe so. I think that enhances your art, that informs you, that helps your technique, and you do that with everything.
What if you believe? What if you truly? I'm only playing the devil's advocate here because I'm not hip hop. Like I don't know much, right? But like, what if you truly believe that? This is you. Like, what if you are, I don't know, but say you are gigs, right? And you grew up and all the rap music, you listen to a lot of like guys from Britain or whatever, and you listen to a lot of British rap music, and you came up and all your friends are British, and you're talking about things that happened to you in Britain, and you're recording it in a British studio, and you're wearing trainers you bought in Britain. What if you truly believe this is British?
Then how
so
are
then
you
you're not going to
any
think, I need
different?
to research this any deeper because this is
That's
what
kind
you
of
believe.
romantic.
How is that any different from a bunch of white kids that live in the middle of nowhere, don't know no black people, and all their friends listen to Grime, and they think that, well, this is me, I came up with this shit.
Yeah, but
and
more
that's how
likely
we approach
you're listening to
reappropriation.
Grime, but the person that you're listening to, at least on that level, probably looks a lot different to you and speaks a lot different to you. So at least you have that visual, whereas maybe someone like Gigs or something, everybody he sees maybe looks like him. I'm not saying Gigs, I'm really not saying Gigs. This is just an example of, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I love Gigs, I love him. I love you, Gigs. But like, do you know what I mean? Maybe if everything is like a mirror of you, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, this is all how my friends speak, this is all the music we all listen to, everyone that does the music kind of looks like me.
Eventually, like, because if you look at the people from this country that were rapping who are in their 30s, they didn't have that. They were looking at Americans. But now eventually we got to the point where, some younger people are coming up and all they see is British people, which is what I'm saying is that's how reappropriation happens. Because if that was a bunch of white kids who eventually, they are looking at Skepta and Stormzy, but then suddenly they all start with, and then all their friends, and then suddenly before you know it, the actual roots of the culture is totally removed. And that's just because it's black artists in Britain doing it with a black genre of music in England, it still doesn't stop the fact that it's a reappropriation. And let me ask you, like, you're Jamaican, yeah?
Yeah, my parents are.
Your family Jamaican, you're a reggae fan?
Yeah, big
dancehall
time.
music.
Yeah.
Alright, so imagine me and I tell you, I'm a dancehall artist, yeah? I've never heard of Buju Banton or Bounty Killer. I mean, that's some old people shit. I don't give a fuck about that.
Yes,
but listen to what I'm doing, yeah? Listen to what I'm doing. This is authentic, yeah? And then I get mad when you as Jamaican are like,
That's not authentic.
Fuck, that's not authentic.
No, I tell you.
And that's my issue with UK rap at the moment. It's like it's people that got into rap in the early 2000s, never really went back and actually did their history. Yeah? And again, I don't know how many times we need to keep saying this in the debate. This isn't specific because in Giggs' case, I've had conversations with him about hip hop and he knows this shit. I'm talking about as an overall, like, you've got people that literally got into hip hop last week and then suddenly and then get angry when the people who created it aren't really giving them any props in it. And
It's not entitlement.
But why would you have that entitlement to think that they're supposed to listen? You know?
I feel that, but this current situation that we're talking about now, these people that aren't feeling that Giggs verse, they equally probably wouldn't be feeling some Eric B and Rakim shit.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
So I think the conversation needs to also be about what is like I feel you on that and I agree with you 100%. And I feel like if you love something, you'll do your research.
Yeah, I feel
if you
so.
don't, then
I'm definitely not siding with the American fans that are because I think most of them are internet Drake stands that probably don't fuck all about hip hop anyway. So I'm not even siding with them. I actually I had a conversation with a guy called Dart Adams on Twitter today, who's a journalist from Boston.
I know him, yeah.
You know,
well, not personally, but he tweets a lot, yeah.
He was like, I love this shit. Like, I've been putting people on, like, I feel like people who are real hip hop fans, they understand the difference. He was the first that was on there being like, I've been putting people onto Giggs and whoever, like, from early. So I'm not siding with the
I think part of it also might maybe completely wrong, but it also might be down to when as humans, if you feel threatened by something, you're gonna lash out at it. You're not gonna feel comfortable with it. Like
racism.
If Giggs put a shit verse down, I guarantee you, not that many people be saying that he's shit. But because it was actually fire on both of the tracks, people are like, fuck, So what? UK's got spitters as well. I don't think it would be as big of an issue to them if Giggs was shit.
I don't know if that's the case, to be honest. I actually think, unfortunately, I think the ignorance actually doesn't give a shit whether it was good or bad. I think it's just a case of English is doing
Please, for me, is this the first time that an English artist has been on an American rap
of that caliber?
Okay.
Drake.
Just finding
But in
out.
terms of Drake now, this current age, like recently, that's probably the biggest.
I mean, we've had British
I used to get hate for this, but like when SAS was on the dip section, they was on the dip section.
Oh yeah.
No, but people they fucked with that.
Yeah, but Americans did fuck with that. But then the thing is, it was a different age where everything wasn't so internet heavy. Had it been on the internet, you probably would have got the same little trolly people that I don't want to hear this shit. Do you see what I'm saying? So
we go to some comments.
We're also suggesting that because of some internet comments that people aren't fucking with Giggs on the track. Of course there's going to be Americans that are.
Snips, you see that SAS thing there? I think the Americans fucked with SAS at that time as well because I think the SAS donned their persona in a way. Do you know what I'm saying? So Americans are like, okay, cool. You're using our thing, coming over on our side, safe. But Giggs for me is like, you can hear that he's straight up fucking British. And to me it's like, look, we don't want to fuck with that because that's not our shit. You know what I'm saying to you? I think that's regarding different sense.
About the whole thing, more so than anything, is that it's not about the artist, because I truly, and again, if I'm wrong, correct me, I don't think Giggs gives a fuck. I think Giggs knows that his audience, his demographic that he wants to speak to, he speaks to them, and they fuck with him. I don't think he gives a fuck about random internet people that have these opinions. So for me, it's why do these fans have such a self-entitlement when the artist in question probably didn't even give a fuck?
I do believe though, like as a spectator of art, like that's your right.
Yeah.
That is your right to say what you want. Like as an artist, it is your right to put out whatever art you want, as offensive or wrong or this, appropriate or whatever it is. And as a spectator, it's your right to then interpret that, judge it, blah blah blah. That's what art is about.
I think
So
literally, you hit the nail on the head. I think what we're doing right now is just basically showing that what he's doing is the right bloody thing.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about it, we're bringing it to discussion. It's making people uneasy. They're like, what the hell is going on here? Personally, I'm really loving this whole global move because I feel like we are giving birth to a whole new genre here, but we don't even know it.
you don't know, In 10 or 20 years, people will be like, you know the origin of that thing when Giggs got on the thing with Drake.
No disrespect to anyone involved in this competition, but in reality, I think that's why people are so angry about it, because I think that's generally people believe what you just said. And I think, and I don't want to sound patronising.
Look at the long picture though.
Go to the States, they don't give a fuck. There's a very small handful of pockets of people in Brooklyn that read noisy and know that it's cool to pretend they like UK music. But it's such a small, like America will never really give a fuck. And we shouldn't care if they do or not.
But now it might be different because now we've got some English people or British people on Drake's team. Do you know what I mean? So maybe now people.
Well, Estelle and Kanye. It didn't do much for
But
her.
we're talking about.
No, it did though.
No offense, Estelle. But we're talking about Estelle.
Exactly, I said the number one.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but we're talking about Estelle. I mean, I'm not like.
Yeah, we love Estelle
That's
too.
what we're singing anyway, so that's a different conversation.
Yeah, Estelle.
And she's a black female. That's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother thing. You know what I'm saying?
Let's go to some comments. Let's go to some.
Just before we do, I just want to say, what Snips said a couple weeks ago was that if a US artist puts a UK artist on their album or their track, it's a much bigger acknowledgement of their talent than a UK artist getting a US rapper on their shit. Because when Krypton Conan put out A Long Way Home, they had the likes of Wiz, YG, they had the Rick Ross, but nobody from the US really cared because it was just another UK. That's what I'm saying. Whereas when listen to it
They should be. This is why this don't get construed. What I'm saying, it should be hugely celebrated. For us, that Giggs and Skepta are on this project. It should be hugely celebrated, and those two artists need the utmost respect
100%.
for achieving that, and we should celebrate that. What I don't want to happen is the fans that have this delusional idea of entitlement that means that that means that right now America needs to embrace us. That's not the case. And the thing is, the artists in question, I don't think even give a fuck. I think for them it's like, great, cool. I've just had a platform and put it to another audience. Those that feel it can fuck with it, but they know what their audience is. They're both successful artists in their own right. They have their audiences here. They speak to their audience, and they are the gods within their scenes, and rightfully so. So for us, I feel like the fans just need to just fall back a little bit. Stop being so entitled to think that like I said, these are Londoners who don't even want to hear people with a Manchester accent.
It's not a social crusade.
Embrace us.
But like as a hip hop fan who has grown up in the UK, I would like UK hip hop to ascend to a level where it is respected globally.
Like when you think
It's
about
not though. Like
We're talking mid-80s.
Do you know what I mean?
I think she's talking about being globally recognised. That's what we're talking about. It's still a baby. Like in terms of being recognised by the whole world, it's just about starting right now.
It's a good time to cut to a comment from.
Why does everything need to be globally recognised? Personally, I don't actually understand that concept. It's like,
Harold Jones says New York guys hated on everything apart from New York rap.
That's true. That's the question for you.
New Yorkers hated on everything apart from New York rap.
Yeah, they did.
But
What's the question?
No, it's not a question. That's a statement. Sorry, I think.
We're going to go through a few comments quickly and just address it.
It's like,
We have it in London. We have it between South and North.
That's
like
what
we
people
have it
think.
here.
You've
Like
got
we just
tribal
like
mentality.
that.
That's what you're
And we
different,
also
don't
like to
like
play
it.
oppression Olympics. We like to, nah, my struggle's more. My struggle's more. Nah, I'm a woman, so it's harder.
If I hear one more British person be like, yeah, but it's just as bad over here as it is in the States. Shut the fuck
Come
up.
on.
Shut the fuck up. Go and look at murder rates.
Yeah.
I was in fucking I was in Brooklyn for Eastern Parkway, which is their equivalent of Notting Hill Carnival, yeah? What do we have here on a bad Notting Hill Carnival? 1 or 2 deaths?
Yeah.
One shooting? There were 48 people shot that weekend when I was
48?
Yeah, like it's not comparable. It's not comparable.
All right, so comment from Juan Duce. Do you think the hip-hop rap listeners out in the US are lazy, like they don't have the patience to listen to actual content?
Yeah. I think a lot of people aren't necessarily music fans, so they might just be like
Culture fans,
hype fans. So they move with the hype.
I don't think they're any less lazy than English people.
Yeah, the same, because they don't listen to people from Manchester, from Birmingham.
And English people accept whatever's given to them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why
How many
this
English
whole
people
thing-
you know listening to Rob Marciano's album or West Side Gun's album or Milano Constantine's album? I don't know many because it wasn't presented to them on the fucking platter to listen
If
to.
Noisy doesn't
They don't-
say it.
Exactly. They don't
This
know
is why this
Another comment, Harold Jones, the East Coast, West Coast beef was about the non-acceptance of the West Coast.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all.
Wasn't it just a media thing that we've generated?
It was a fucking internal beef between 2 particular artists, and when someone got shot over it, people jumped on a bandwagon and turned it into something. But it wasn't about the non-acceptance. Puck was the fucking biggest selling artist at the time, right there. So there was no non-acceptance of.
And if you listen to Ready to Die, there's West Coast music in one of the interludes.
Yeah.
But it happens historically. Do you remember when
Master
Southern
Ace's whole shit was West Coast.
Yeah.
His whole sound.
Yeah.
Was like,
or when Southern hip hop were coming out, when Outkast,
Yeah.
Outkast called themselves Outkast because you know what I mean. Like
Everyone was like,
yeah. So it's like it happens. Like
But then the thing is also there's this thing with like New York not accepting other parts of the world. I don't think it was just specific. They weren't accepting other places. They weren't accepting different sounds because Common was fine in New York. Razzcaz was fine in New York. The Licks were fine in New York. You know, artists around the country that were doing
New York
very
sound.
much, not even New York sound, because I hate people call it. It's hip hop. That is the sound. So people who were doing that, they embraced. It was what they weren't embracing was people essentially what they saw as reappropriating the sound and putting a different spin on it, which they didn't see as pleasing. But the artists that were doing like look at Ice Cube. Ice Cube went to New York and did the whole of America's Most in New York with Bomb Squad, and he was accepted by New York. That's why it's bizarre. Then 6-7 years later, he's doing the whole Bow Down and West Side Connection or whatever. Like it was. I don't think it was about New York and other places.
Next question, Wayne Blackwood. UK rap is compared to US rap is because it's being emulated and doesn't have its own sound.
What, UK
UK rap is compared to US rap
Oh, okay.
because it's being emulated and it doesn't have its own sound.
There's no argument.
Yeah. Some of it does.
For and against.
But I guess they're talking about, because these people I guess are talking about this track in particular.
Oh, okay.
I'm asking you guys out there, do you feel that he's emulating?
I don't think what he did on that tune was very UK.
But he's been spitting like what you mean gigs?
No gigs. Yeah.
Wait, let me just say something, right? The reason I disagree with what they're saying, if we're talking about this Drake topic, is that because Giggs has been spitting the way he spat on those 2 tracks.
Forever.
Yeah. So it's not because of recent events and that. It's why he's spitting like that. He's been spitting like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to what you were saying.
Skepta the same, no?
Well, I was,
Yeah, Skepta was super UK on his track. Yeah.
well, I was gonna say as well, like, I don't know why. I feel like okay. So first of all, Drake, you know, I remember mentioning briefly on our last one that said that how he must be hanging around with a lot of UK people. You said obviously it's a Canadian influence and how they like adopt a lot of similar slang. But if Drake is trying to, I feel like he's trying to emulate. Sorry, Drake, but you never sounded like that before, and that's fine. That's fine. You can change your sound. But I hear a London boy sing, like, I don't like, did Skepta write that line for him? Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Because where did you learn the lyric, like these slang words? Like, how are you using them in
He knows
context?
what's cool, man.
I'm not even finding
But this is-
nothing
this
wrong.
Yeah, it's actually the other way around.
Yeah, they're like, you lot emulating us.
This is a different project. This is a Canadian who is quite genre fluent. Like, I wouldn't say Drake is specifically just a hip hop artist. If you look at this album, he's not only got Giggs and Skepta on there, he's got fucking Moody Man on there, who's a Detroit techno artist. He's got fucking Black Coffee, who's a South African house producer. Like, you know, like he's got like it's a really,
he's got Georgia Smith as well, right?
Georgia Smith.
It's a really, really diverse album of all different types of sounds. So,
but that's why I find it difficult, because a lot of the people that are probably saying that UK rappers are shit aren't necessarily hip hop heads. They're just Drake heads.
Listen, I got friends in New York that I've played gigs to, and I've played UK, and they love it. Like, they genuinely love it. Like, so.
Exactly, that's what I mean. It's about it's like we were talking about the other week, with this little Nicki Remy thing. Nicki fans aren't necessarily hip hop fans. Remy fans are probably gonna be hip hop fans.
But here's the problem. On both accounts in this argument, I don't think either are hip hop fans, because most of the London boys that are being like, this, they're not respecting us. You might not be hip hop fans.
That's
you might have brown fans that know a little bit of hip hop, but
that's
for the most part, you're not hip hop fans. So to be honest, we've got a whole discussion about hip hop being had by two groups of fans, none of which are hip hop.
No, about hip hop. It's true.
So to be honest, that's why for the whole discussion, I'm just like,
are they talking about hip hop or are they talking about rappers?
I think they're more talking about rap.
They're talking about rap.
When Snips says hip hop, it's like it's just. You have to know Snips to know what he's talking about. He's not talking about Young Thug, and he's not talking about Migos. That's the point. Like, people group Migos and them as hip hop. That's not what Snips is talking about. So I think it's kind of like important to like outline.
It's kind of more like pop music, though. Isn't that pop music?
It is pop music.
But it's still popular music. If you go to a club in the West End, you might actually hear that.
You will hear that.
That's why I think the conversation has to be a music conversation. It doesn't like how does it work? How does UK rap, without the attachment of grime, hip hop or whatever, just how does it work as music? How does it translate? Because music translates culture. Like good music.
Yeah, good music.
Good music does.
Yeah.
Now is really what's happening in the UK in terms of UK rap, in whichever form it's taken. Does it have the capability?
It's very specific. I would say that. I would say as someone who lives in the UK, who's grown up and has been around similar people, what they're talking about in that track is very specific to their. I can't relate. I can't relate to that as a woman or anything like that. So I can imagine a lot of people who are not in that can't relate. You know, I haven't shot it before. Do you know what I mean? I haven't held no keys, no waves. I don't know what that is.
Some people they fetishize that.
Yes,
like,
and
that's
so
how gangster rap blew up.
Yeah,
it wasn't like
exactly.
actual
it's the fetishization of the
gangsters.
ghetto. You know, it's like a zoo-like. Ooh, what's
exactly.
this? You know?
Why is this? This is what I want to understand. Deviate a little bit. We're talking about US-UK connections here, and is the US getting respect from UK and vice versa, and all the rest of it. Why is it so specific to this one little tiny niche of black culture within the UK? Why are we talking about the fact that Terry Walker just did a whole album with Salon Remy, who's one of the most legendary New York producers ever? Why are we talking about that?
For me,
why are we talking about Omar's album is possibly one of the best soul albums, and I'm including Solange and Frank Ocean and all these other albums. Omar's album is one of the best soul albums to come out in the last 5 years. Why are we talking about this?
Yeah, and this is the thing. Yes, no, we have to talk about this. We do, because I find this very insidious. There's a very insidious thing going on where only a certain narrative of the black experience wants to be put on a shelf. Only a certain narrative. Anything that deviates from the ghetto, anything that deviates from maybe white middle classes' fascination with black people doing certain shit is not seen as credible. And also within our scene, why are the black young tastemakers or anyone who's a fan of black music, urban music, why are we not talking about black soul music that comes from the UK? And
because
all
it's
of
not black
this
tastemakers. This is the thing.
This
is the thing. What's being pushed down to black tastemakers is what white people have been given a stamp of approval on. So I end up having arguments with people and I'm like, what about this? And they're like, I don't give a shit about that. And they'll discredit my taste, but yet what they're basing their taste on is what they've been told to like by essentially white people who have no actual connection to the culture, but have put something on the pedestal to say this is what it's
It's patronising.
It's fetishism, man.
And it's
it's fetishism.
It's really bizarre.
It is. It's literally like going to the zoo. It's like, yo, like this is. I've never seen this in my middle class world. Like,
go to like an East London night that plays trap and grime music, and it's a bunch of like white girls from Hertfordshire with gold grills and
think about all the
swag
journalists
on their t-shirts and it's a little experience for them. They might date a black guy while they're living in London, while daddy's playing for their flat to study fashion, and then they'll go back to fucking Hertfordshire and live with their Tory voting parents and work for daddy.
Mr. Tropical, R&B is not our culture. That's why most of them sing in an American accent. That's why.
What?
Hold on.
R&B's not our culture.
R&B's not
So he's British.
R&B is not our culture. That's why most of them sing in an American accent. That's why it just don't represent us.
Yeah, but speaking, like we were talking about Gigs and Skepta on this track, and I think we can all agree that they definitely had British accents.
Yeah.
British.
100%.
But thanks.
I want to make a quick point.
That's a really bizarre topic. Craig David didn't work.
This is the thing.
I think he's saying basically that R&B singers in this country sing in American accents, whereas English rappers rap in English accents in this country.
I think that
American accent.
To be fair, Omar doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't sound far.
I mean, there was a time, where music was getting put out, and it was like everyone was having the American accents and stuff.
US centricism is all over the globe.
Yeah.
It's not a British thing.
People speak English. People speak English. There's people that all come from Finland and they speak English in American accent. They're much closer to England, way closer to England. But American TV, their culture, it permeates all our lives.
There's nothing wrong with having American sounds within your music if you do hip hop music, because it's an American music. It's like saying, you never hear anyone say, oh yeah, I like that German reggae artist, but it just sounds a bit too Jamaican. Like, no, he's making reggae music, of course it's going to sound Jamaican. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, why are we so like, oh, it's hip hop but it sounds too American? It's fucking supposed to.
I think it's because
American
people don't like when a person is trying to get rid of something that makes them unique.
Yeah.
So like, I think that UK artists have been so, they sort of see America as daddy. Like, I'm trying to get approval of daddy.
Even the daddy term is Americanized.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's what you were saying before. It's like, why do UK artists feel the need to have such approval?
I'll tell you why. Because economically, it makes a big fucking difference.
Yeah.
If UK rappers can break the US fucking market,
Then
money
it
in the
makes
bank.
But however,
So that's why it's a big fucking
But I
difference.
think we're now at a point where it's become so big here.
Yeah, that we can sustain ourselves.
These artists, like again, I don't want to make assumptions on artists' bank balance, but artists are making more money now in this country than they've ever made in UK rap music. You know, like it's not necessary.
I agree.
Very sure that Skepta's good.
Yeah,
He's good.
100%, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Even JME, man, even if someone like JME is
good. I mean, not to say that they can't do with more, we could all do with more, they could do, but the thing is, like, I feel like if it's a case of, you know, when you're starving, artistic integrity can sometimes waver a little bit because you need to put food on the table. But if you're good, you can take a little bit more, of course, you know,
be
control
yourself.
of your own artistic integrity.
But there's also pride in it as well, as in like the first UK artist UK rapper to break America, there's gonna be a sense of pride in that.
Yeah.
You're gonna be heralded for many years to come.
Yeah.
So it's not just a thing of like, oh, I've got my shit together now. At the end of the day, you know how humans go. We're always trying to get better and get more and progress anyway. So you can have £1 million today, doesn't mean you're gonna stop hustling.
Yeah, no, of course.
So it's like, it's still trying to
But you
get
can
that thing that's...
hustle. You can hustle. Be yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And then I guess that's what Kids is doing.
Yeah.
So we respect it in that sense. But I'm saying, just to go back to the point about why does UK rappers always seek approval from US, from the US community or the US fan base of hip hop. And I think it's for that reason, as I've just spoken about.
I'm not sure that
There's a danger to that as well, though, personally. I do believe there's a danger to wanting, I mean, for me, like, I always think if you can make a comfortable, sustainable living, which is more than most in this life,
Especially for music.
more than most in this life, I really feel like, because remember, greed is a lot of the reason why we're having discussions like this. Do you know what I mean? Why we meet up in groups and have to have safe spaces? Because greed is destroying our planet. You know, like, so, I don't know, if you can sustain yourself comfortably and live off of music, why is that not enough?
I'm not
sometimes?
sell out and make art that's
Yeah.
able to
But I
use.
don't think it's the artist though. It's the audience. It's the people who have bought into this idea of capitalism. And And hip hop. And
His
hip
whole
hop.
discussion for me is not specific to the artist at all.
Yeah,
It's to the fans.
It's the audience.
The fans are the fucking
Yeah.
problem. The
Yeah.
artists aren't the problem.
It's true.
That's
That's
what
what I'm saying.
Skepta is the problem.
Let's not also like forget what kind of like mainstream hip hop actually conveys as well. It conveys this image of like get as much as you can.
Exactly.
Accumulate as much wealth as you can. Because that means you're the fucking man. You know what I'm saying? So it's actually preached in the culture, and then we're wondering why we're fucking doing what we're fucking preaching. So you know.
But this is the thing though. When as like somebody who loves gigs, like I know people who know him and you know grown with him and whatever, So I know that the first thing that he was doing when he was coming up was he was DJing, he was putting music out to the hood, and he had like a various amount of different nationalities listening to his shit just out of his room in Peckham. His goal was to provide, wasn't it, just for his mum and his youth or whatever. Like now that he's done that, surely now that like he's reached his goal, push forward, push past your goals, that's fine. But now he doesn't have to get rid of what makes him unique. The same way people like PDC thought they had to. People like Judge Souls, he thought he had to rap that way because that was the only way he was going to get heard by anyone. They don't need to do that anymore. If you've got Drake putting you, he's got you on your on his shit. You're not trying to get, he's getting you on his shit. You don't have to now try and break it by acting American.
Black people in Britain as well is a lot newer than Americans. Not to say there's never been black people in Britain, but it's a lot that culture is a lot newer than black Americans in America. So like maybe even being like a black person, it's taken us a while to feel comfortable having this accent and being like I can be me and speak like this. Do you know what I mean? Because just the other day speaking like this, I've butt people and they're like, you sound just like a white girl. So and maybe in myself, having a black background, I might feel a bit uncomfortable like that. I might try to switch it up and get a bit more information or something.
We had that conversation, right? Remember we were talking about how when black people are well spoken,
exactly. It's a lot newer, and I feel like as black British people, we are now, because a lot of us are first generation. I'm first generation British. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Americans are not. Like, do you know what I mean? Most of black Americans are not. So being first generation, I've got to find my feet. I've got to be comfortable in being a black British woman with this accent and still be uniquely and authentically black. Do you know what I mean? And be accepted that way.
But that point you make is kind of why I'm saying sometimes as well that rap in this country is still pretty fresh in terms of like that. It's because of what you're basically saying.
Comment, fluent influence, the British accent isn't meant for rap in US mainstream.
It's an opinion.
That's an opinion.
Okay, cool. Cheers.
Gracias.
That's what we actually need to start
I didn't realise that there was a...
we just need to say thanks. Okay, cool.
For accents, man. It's not
Okay, so equal tree, US fuck without R&B artists.
What?
Which one?
US fuck without.
What was that?
The US fuck with our R&B artists.
With our R&B. US.
Oh, with our.
As an hour. Who is it?
Yeah.
An example. Can anyone?
Craig David.
Obviously.
Sounds doing well right now.
Something is that still quite niche though? I would argue that that's probably quite niche in a certain scene.
Why do you think people taking notice of Sampha but no one took notice of Oma?
Pardon? I don't know.
No, Sampha's got some Drake
Maybe.
features as far as I can see. Is that someone?
Maybe.
Sorry.
What she said?
I was thinking people maybe fucking with Sampha, but not with Omar. Maybe
Also,
an age
didn't work out. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, so people thought it's something what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, it's now. If Omar was about when YouTube was popular and when people were
Don't
retweeting
get
or
twisted, when
doing things
Omar
like
was in
that.
his early stages, there's nothing like this.
Yeah, Omar, that's
Soul to Soul hit the States. Sade hit the States. This idea that it's
They
only
do
now.
crossover, you know? Zeal.
But
Like.
there's also this other misconception that just because something doesn't exist on Twitter or like that it's not happening. Like,
Well, exactly.
No, but what I'm saying, it doesn't mean it's not happening. You know, Royce 5'9" outsold Young Thug. They released the same week, and Royce 5'9" outsold him.
But where do we find that information? Because nobody really talks about that. We just want to talk about what is current, what.
But why do
That's the thing, is because people take these things as facts. Tweets are facts now, that's why.
But
it's like if I tweet something and I'm just like, yo, this one's better than this one, or I don't know, maybe Omar's not even on Twitter, so whatever. Jamie Samples, they're tweeting now. He's the shit because he's tweeted how many record sales he's had, and Omar hasn't tweeted it. And we take these things as facts now. It's actually news. Like this is
People get their news from memes.
Historical advice.
You know how many copies of the Tiger album sold when the one that was executively produced by Kanye West, Tiger's album, it sold 2,000 copies the first week.
Wow.
But
There were only like Joey Badass in his first week sold 25 times more copies than Tiger album.
Now we're looking at the quality. Now that's something obviously you guys are talking about, saying how gigs obviously, in terms of like British music, he's kind of up there on like, you'd be proud to show that to people, to showcase, this is what we've got for you. The same thing that we were just saying there, like Joey Badass, he has a quality, he has appreciation for the old.
Yes, and that's the thing, and that's why he's one of the better ones.
I can give you a million more Joey Badasses
you've
never heard of that are still outselling a lot of these so-called popular.
So your voice is very similar, by the way.
It's very soft.
All right, comment. Moses says UK rap needs to have some big UK films. Films help a lot with making another country understand your scene.
I hear that, but I don't know how much we want to push any narrative that we put in a film.
I was gonna
I
say,
don't think we need any more ghetto gangster movies about people going to prison. We don't need no more Top Boys.
Another kid on it.
I don't.
Yeah, and the thing is,
But that
what are we
was-
going to call it? Babyhood now?
We don't need that.
it doesn't have to be a shit film.
Which one?
Yeah, I know, but if we make a film that is going to kind of back up the experience and kind of back up people like kids and be like, you know what, you're legit because look at your film and this is your experience. We know what it's going to be about. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. How do you do that?
It has to be done.
How
It has
do
to
you
be
do
done well. I thought
that?
Top Boy was done really well.
Okay, this is
and
what
Top
I was
Boy
trying
is
to get
actually what shed a lot of light.
And that's going to America now.
This is what I was trying to get to.
And that's
Drake was
because
one of
Drake.
the first ones.
Yeah.
You were probably just about to say that. Drake was one of the first ones to co-sign Top Boy, and people that probably got people like, oh shit, what's this Top Boy thing?
Yeah.
So
So let's not get twisted. See what you're saying about people fetishizing shit.
Yeah,
Looking at it.
exactly.
Don't think because Drake isn't essentially a white guy that he's not fetishizing.
Yeah,
Literally. He's out of London. Oh, yeah, he's loving it.
What? I don't care.
When I saw him talk about it, be like, yeah, when I watched the beef that was going on with Brixton and Pecky, it felt like home. I'm like, what home?
Drake's been acting since he was like, how old? He's an academic. He's a very learned man. He speaks very articulately. This persona that he does in rap is a persona. Of course. You know? Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, but then at least at the same time, we should all.
Like, what are you talking about?
But we should also be aware of people exploiting culture. I think exploiting the culture, just because it brings attention to someone, exploiting it and then leaving it in the dust when something new comes along, that's an issue too.
Yeah.
That is an issue.
Whatever colour you are.
Like, you know, and that happens a lot with US rappers seeing something that looks like it's popping off in England, and as soon as that's not the trend anymore, all right, let me just pick up what's going on in Sweden. Do you know what I mean? Or what's going on in Denmark. There's no actual loyalty or actual love between them, and that's not okay. And I think there should be a pride and an integrity within British artists who, like, you know what, I see what you're doing and I see you've got money, but you're exploiting us. Yeah. And I actually don't want that because
I don't think I get what you're saying. I feel that, but this is a mutually beneficial.
yeah, I get it's not mutually beneficial, of course. You want more money in your pocket.
And as long as you're aware.
Hold on, you think it is mutually or you don't think it's mutually?
I think it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, definitely.
100%. Because I hate when people are like, well, Drake don't need to do this.
Yeah.
What is it? What's he getting out of it? No, listen. Just because Drake is a much higher selling artist than someone like Giggs or Skepta, don't think that his affiliation with them doesn't do great things.
Cool.
Essentially, Drake is a business,
Yeah.
and he is a man of his business. He's a businessman,
Yeah.
and he's been successful to this point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
He's a
and
brand.
he's not just like, oh, let me do this thing that's going to make me less successful. He's thought about this.
When you use the word exploitation, it's like it has too many negative connotations. Because when you exploit something, it doesn't have to be negative. As we discussed in this scenario here, they're both exploiting each other and benefiting.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
No, I do agree with that. I
As long
mean,
as
I
you're aware,
think
though.
what, yeah, and
As long as
also
you're aware.
that's
if
not
the
always the
integrity is
case.
kept.
Exactly.
And that's not,
If
and
you're
we
not
have
aware.
seen that
Yeah.
in British music as well.
Exactly, yeah.
We have seen, you know, where people thought that Kanye backing certain people, I can say that.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
I don't care. Like, we didn't think that
Yeah.
Kanye doing that was going to do something.
Yeah.
And maybe it did, arguably,
Yeah,
to an
yeah.
extent, because those two people are who we talk about now.
Yeah, well,
You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Like, so arguably you can say it may not even be a grime revolution. You
Yeah.
can say it's two artists,
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
yeah,
who
yeah.
are put on
Yeah, I
because of a certain person
Yeah.
who said that, look at these guys.
Yeah.
Also,
I think you can't avoid
I
that,
can't
though.
repeat
People
this
always-
enough to the American audience that are talking about this, and even the English, press and video. Gigs isn't the grammar.
No.
Oh, fuck. Me was Skepta told him. You know what I'm saying?
But we need to
Skepta
find
told him.
in terms of like, I can't have a
And it's
conversation.
not just
with
the
you.
Americans.
No, wait, that's
You're
it.
saying
It's not just
gigs,
Americans.
right?
It's not just Americans. It's
You know, yeah.
I know.
Yes.
But they obviously, that's what.
But you know what it is? Do you know what I think the discrepancy is, or the reason why I don't think people can discern from the two?
Yeah.
Because it's like UK like gangster music, kind of, essentially. But because it somehow can be lumped as grimy music, I think people then use the terminology as grime because they associate grime with like gully shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's not the same country. That's why it's called grime. Grime artists never named their music grime. They didn't want. Like that was the meat of it.
It's the same
Grime.
thing. It's the
I
same
find it
thing.
funny that we're now so precious over this term that no one really wanted in the first place.
But you know that grime label has benefited both Gigs and Crept and Conner because if they were
Yeah, 'cause that's
labeled,
the revival,
if
yeah.
they were
Yes,
labeled
you're right.
if they were labeled rap,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be as successful
Yeah.
as they are
Because when
now.
you say grime, it makes it unique to England. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah.
True. I was going to say that the whole dancehall bashment thing and how I'd say that dancehall is different to bashment
Yeah.
in terms of if you were lumping them all in the same thing. Would you say I don't know? Would you say Vybz Kartel is a dancehall artist or a bashment artist?
You know what? It's funny because I saw people having this discussion the other day,
Yeah.
and there's definitely an argument to be said that bashment and dancehall don't exist as titles, and everything is reggae music. Because even like you see like old interviews with Supercat, and he'll be like, the music is reggae, but the reason it's called dancehall is because we perform music in a dancehall. Like, and then it was England that called it dancehall, then England that called it ragga, then England that called it
You wouldn't
bashment.
do a lot.
But at the same time, though, I mean, as someone who like listens to that music a lot, like there's a lot of like reggae that like it's on it exists in a genre by itself. It's like
Yeah.
it has a conscious undertone.
Yeah.
Very different to Vybz Kartel.
Yeah.
Like musically, like content-wise. Do you know what I mean? I don't
But
know
that's
if
like
I
to
could
say
call
that
them reggae.
Kendrick Lamar is a world apart from Rick Ross, but it's still hip hop. You see what I'm saying? Like, whenever I've gone to like, I've never been to Jamaica, so I'm no authority to say
take
from
ya.
experience. But when I've gone to like Jamaican dances in New York, they don't call it bashment or dancehall, it's reggae. They call it reggae.
Just call it reggae.
Yeah, and they play reggae from, even if it's new, they play shit from Chronics to Vybz Kartel, and it's the whole spectrum of reggae music, and it's just reggae. It's England, we do it all
But
the time.
it's
man.
Jamaica too.
Fucking,
Well, they do it
In
there.
Jamaica too, not everything is reggae.
Oh.
No way. Like
Yeah.
no, like some people say to you in Jamaica, I don't listen to reggae.
Yeah.
Like they just listen to dancehall. Do you know what I mean? Straight.
yeah.
I don't really hear bashment.
That's what I'm saying.
Bashment
And I bet you never heard
describes a party. Yeah,
Yeah.
ragga you never hear.
Yeah.
Bashment you don't really hear. It's
Yeah.
like bashment is a place you go. It's the
Yeah.
party. But dancehall is definitely something that they use. A dancehall artist, Vybz Kartel, blah blah blah, and they wouldn't say. People say I don't listen to reggae or I don't listen to dancehall, but they listen to reggae or. But I said in Jamaica, the place where it's from.
But isn't this fundamentally a discussion about how language is misused and how it's
Yeah.
misinterpreted as well?
It's also England's obsession with putting a label.
Labels on things.
It's the same with the whole house and garage thing. Us UK garage. Is it?
It
Or is
comes
it
from
just
these
garage
journalists.
music? It comes from America. Garage is US music. But we call it UK garage because and then you'll have someone that creates one new song and it's like, that's house, this is crack house, and this is this house. It's all just house.
It's almost like
Autism.
So autism.
Like you have to
Like
categorize
everything.
everything.
Question, comment, Mr. VIP.
Sorry.
Americans think that all UK rap is grime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's.
Yeah.
Based on what we're talking
So where does that leave UK rap?
Because they don't want to call it hip hop because it's almost kind of, then they think it's dead, and then they think that British rappers are trying to do an American thing. If they can call it grime, it just separates it. It just lets you be like, okay, cool, that's what you lot are doing over there, and we don't have to fuck with it, you know what I'm saying?
I think that's a fair point.
It's the same with trap, with crunk, with G-funk. It was like hip hop, even in the States, hip hop had its own little categories of different.
Just subcategories, isn't it? Under a huge umbrella.
Subgenres. Where we at? Call it a day?
Yeah.
Any more interesting comments?
Let me give you.
More statements in it.
So,
I love hip hop.
What do you guys think if Jay Huss had the guest verse on this Drake thing?
See, I don't fuck with that whole new wave of like Afro-beats and like.
Bash
It's not my thing,
But
man.
that's personal.
I just don't like it.
I don't like it. Yeah. I'm African, I don't like it.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
Yeah, I love
For
it.
me, it's just most of it sounds too lazy, and most of it just,
Yeah.
it just, and it also sounds like it's like it's not produced well. Do you know what I'm saying? To me, there's not enough techers in it for me musically, and that's just what I feel from that, you know. But fair play to them, did their things. Even like my boy Mr. Silver, he's in that scene. I fucking love that motherfucker. So I can say that because it's not necessarily my thing that they shouldn't be doing it, but it just doesn't necessarily appeal to me, and that's for my reason.
It's crazy. It's like that kind of comes from musically like somewhere so different, but then there's like these other influences. Then it's easy to compare, but actually like I feel like the Afro-beats, it comes from somewhere. Like comes from somewhere so different, like the origins of it. Like when people talk about Afro-beats and then they talk about like Fela Kuti and stuff like this, like before, it's coming from something solid, but that's so different. And now
what people are talking Afro-beats now,
They're not talking Fela.
no, of course not. Of course not.
Because that's when I first started to hear about Afro.
Yeah, I was thinking
that's
it's a
what I was
Bible,
thinking.
yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm
What, is
not
it
well
little
versed in it.
chilies?
but
Yeah.
I liked it.
Okay,
And then
nice.
when I heard what is considered Afro, I'm like,
But now it's like some ragga kind of funky
like,
house, hip
like
hop
the worst type of
fusion.
fashion. You know, like they're really auto-tuned,
Yes.
like the worst type. It sounds
That's how I
like
feel.
Like English
fused with like funky house fused with like just
Only
the work.
20 years where we can really reflect on this time.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what was happening.
That's
the voice of reason.
Yeah.
But the reason I brought up Jay Huss was because I felt like he's a UK artist who, like, whatever your feelings on Afro-beats are, he came up and what he's
By the way, I think he's
doing.
got bangers, by the way. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I think my
It's
thing on
fresh.
Afrobeats is separate to stuff.
yeah.
Actually, I play his records in clubs.
You do know his songs,
Yeah.
you go out.
And like the way he merges that with the rap, like to me is a fresher
It's fresh,
fresher take on it. Than
Yeah, it is. I think
some of the like I think personally.
he's funny on it. He brings character to it, charisma.
What's everyone's thoughts on Loyal Kana? Because he's touring the States right now. Yet the scene
No one
doesn't
cares.
seem to know who the fuck he is.
He's more traditional sounding
Isn't it
hip hop.
ironic that the traditional sounding hip hop guy is actually touring America right now?
Yeah.
But
And yet the UK rap scene
Substance sells.
doesn't know who the fuck he is.
Substance really
Do they
does.
No, the scene don't know who he is.
Yeah, no, of course they don't.
No, because I think he's going down. This is why I wanted to talk about. I feel like he's going down the music route.
Yeah.
It's like here we play.
So what is that other stuff then? If that's the music route, what is
Especially
that other stuff then?
What is
If you're putting out the music,
Yeah. That other stuff to me, it's more about belonging to a social group.
Okay.
It's not actually.
Do you see yourself in that social group? Just out of interest.
Do I see myself in that social group? I do exist in that social group because I live in London and there's crossovers in what I do and that. But I am somewhat of an outcast from that group.
Okay.
And people like Loyal Karna or Kate Tempest is like another example. She's like an amazing, like if you were just to take her on bars, she's got bars. She was on Jimmy Fallon the other day. But like
we overlook so
but
much.
like if you talk about the scene, if you say who's Kate Tempest, people will be like, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, are you talking about music or are you talking about like a little boys club where everyone's in and if you're cool, you know about this thing. And I feel like a lot of these rappers that are popping off, it's not on the basis of music, it's on the basis of
Image.
your credibility, your street credibility.
But that doesn't last long. Though. That's really not.
No, it doesn't.
It's almost
You're right,
you
it
almost
doesn't.
want these people that you've been speaking about who no one knows to not be known.
Yeah,
You want them to tour America and no one's
Exactly,
no one's tweeting. Cool, that's good. You do your thing
Yeah.
because that way you can maintain your integrity. And a lot of the time when you hit into these mainstream and everyone's talking about you, just for whatever reason, if it's the money, if it's this, if it's whatever, you start to like change that a little bit, and you fit in there, and the integrity is lost.
It's not just here. It's like Flatbush Zombies when they came here sold more tickets than Future did. Flatbush Zombies sold out. What was it? Was it good? Yeah. Like 3 shows in a row. Like Future's not doing that.
No.
Yeah. Is Future not doing that?
I've never heard a Future song. I don't know, no, never. Wow.
Drunken
You probably have heard it, but you thought it was just like.
Drunken Love. Beyonce.
That's the Future song. He wrote it?
He wrote that.
He's definitely got a lot of trash, but he's also got some
So
decent
Future's
shit.
Future's dope.
March Madness.
But it's also the kind of thing where it's like, when we were talking about before, it's like, everything kind of, when we were talking about the mumble rap thing, my statement on that was more kind of like, everything has its place. Yeah. And even though Future might be like, and even though it might be auto-tuning the song to fucking death, on the ears, aesthetically, there's pleasure. Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, to who? Not to me.
No, but to a lot of people, though, it is musicality.
I look at it like this, man. If I go and sit at a banquet of food, I want loads of different food. I don't want no one to put a plate of dog shit in the middle of my banquet. There's no place for dog shit.
But it's also in that analogy, so food, the plethora of food that you have at your disposal on the table now, I might not like it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is my taste. That's cool.
And when it comes to music as well, there's so many. I mean, even if you're just looking at singers, like someone in India singing a tune that is just banging in India, we would hear that, we'd be like, what is that? Or do you know what I mean? Future's got some
Percocet, Miley Percocet. Miley Percocet.
Sounds like a banger still.
That's about having a this whole conversation.
There's people to come up with
I
something.
don't buy this over intellectualizing.
No, that's not.
It's
But
not
the thing is,
over-
you know what? Lots of people say screaming punk music is, well, I don't understand screaming punk music, but that is literal angst, aggression, anti-establishment. This is, yo, look at me in my Gucci, my Balenciaga. It's actually a disease. It's actually a diseased message. It's actually a lesson. I'm sorry, my love. It's actually a lesson in how to use your money quick. It's actually a direct 5-step plan in how to use your money quick. It's actually a 5-step plan in how to do
How
that.
to not build.
Yeah, how to not build and how to keep giving your money to Europeans like who don't want you wearing it. How to keep giving your money to Europeans who don't want you wearing it. That is what this trap music is about. I'm a stylist. I know who they don't want to wear it. And it's us. I know who they don't want to wear it.
Fundamentally, you're correct, or you're probably correct, should I say. But for me, it's different because people like me and you, I think we have the tools, or the mental tools, to be able to discern from like entertainment and real life. And therefore, music like that, so we can appreciate music for different reasons. So we can appreciate something that's silly and that practically doesn't make any sense. But we can be like, okay, cool. I'm going to use that as my party song, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not necessarily going to emulate that. Because for me, even certain tunes like that, it's inspiration for me sometimes. Because sometimes I listen to Pick Me and I'm like, oh man, if I'm feeling down or whatever, I can play some ignorant shit that all they're doing is celebrating life. And to me, that's a booster in me.
I don't personally know if they're celebrating life or they're celebrating over consumerism, materialism, and a lot of
That's their perception of
no,
life.
it definitely is. But what for me in my black community, from what I understand, because all of these things are intersectional, they all exist. Nothing exists in a vacuum. And so we are also marching at Black Lives Matter and stuff like that because of certain images that people have of us because of a certain thing that's pushed. You're going to have children. I don't want to bring children into this world, but a lot of you here will bring children into this world who won't be able to discern between certain things. You'll be a good parent, so you might be able to teach them that. But so many people, I'll adopt. But there will be so many people who won't be able to do that for their children, and that for me, when it's. The thing is, I have no issue with the dumb music. I don't have any issue with the dumb music when there's something else in the mainstream that you can go to for an alternative. When there's nothing else, you are serving people poison.
There is no.
But that's the business though.
Yes, the business, and who's making the money?
And who's
feeding the business? Who's making the money?
And we're feeding the business. You are DJ, you are making the money. He's gonna have mixed race children.
fucking set I can. I'm still trying to find the bridge.
Well, like, you have to be honorary black.
I didn't say I want to be black.
He's gonna have mixed children. This conversation is different.
No, I try.
Yeah.
And I just want us, for me, sometimes I just always have to think about the objective, bigger picture. Nothing is just music.
Yeah.
Nothing is just, nothing is. No, but the thing is, sorry, so quickly. Let me just tell you, like, okay, anything, okay, let's go scientifically. Music, vibration, energy. You want to do this?
Yeah,
no,
no,
if we really want to do this,
it's never just music.
anything that becomes repetition is a chant, yeah? Anything that becomes a chant, it becomes a belief. This is what prayer is. This is, I can take it to church if you want to. This shit is science, B.
It's true.
It's science.
It's science.
I don't understand what you're trying to say.
Okay.
There's a
So it's not just music. So even when we dash on them tunes, it's just a play tune, whatever, this affects our vibration.
Yes.
Anything that happens, the next situation that happens, we approach it with the effect that whatever music, whatever art, whatever we've just taken in, we approach it with that effect. So when these guys are just, or girls, whatever, are just listening to this crap, get money, get hold, that's how they approach their lives. So it's not just music. It never.
And you can see the way they
Can I
approach
say-
women. You can see the way they approach women. You can see the women that they fetishize. You can see all of this. And where do these ideas come from, babe?
I agree on one level.
Okay.
But the bottom line is it's not just like, as you were saying. It's not the music. Music is completely neutral. Okay. We then input whatever is going on in our heads.
I don't know about that, babe.
No, it's the other way round.
Because me and you can listen to the same
You
song.
are how old, sir?
Okay,
right, exactly.
You play a baby music, a baby moves.
Why do they say classical music you should play to children?
It's the
Why
music,
is that
it's
meant
the
to...
vibration. And it might affect you differently because you're coming with two different vibrations, but it is the music. If you don't play that music, you guys are not affected. It's the music. I'm telling you, us as humans, I don't know why we think we are bigger than everything. Like, why are we bigger than, we're bigger than all these things? The music, it does, and it will affect you 100%.
Why do you think every iconic artist, regardless of what genre, has been a vulnerable artist in whatever way? Michael Jackson, Tupac, or whatever. You know what I mean? They've all had to put that out.
See, as a DJ, yeah, if I want to, and I'm in a rowdy club, I can start a fight in 10 minutes.
Yep, exactly.
Start a fight in 10 minutes. Like, calm everyone the fuck down in 10 minutes.
100%.
Why can't certain music be played at carnival? Why can't certain music be played at carnival?
People will lose their minds.
Why do people mosh pit?
But
What
it's
is
true,
that?
you know you can. You can start a fight in 10 minutes.
This is a great point.
Why do people mosh pit? This is science. I'm not just making this up.
I've seen
You
people
research
say,
it.
like, they get a text from their boys and there's some madness going on. Before they leave that house, they're putting on the greasiest thing to gear themselves up so they can go and do stuff they can't imagine doing.
That says it. That says it's spiritual. Do you know what I mean? Come on, you must be a spiritual man of some kind. You know these things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
But I
you.
feel like it's what is in you that determines your outcomes. I came up listening as a child to DMX.
Yeah. He was very vulnerable as an artist. Who very much spoke about not having shit. Who very much did
I
never.
didn't turn up to school with blood all on me. Do you know what I mean? We can't just always just say it's the
That's you saying that. No, you're not listening.
But maybe as a child, if you did see someone with blood all on you, maybe it won't affect you that much because you have heard that repetitively. It doesn't mean that you're going to do it.
I don't understand what the disconnect is here.
You're both not wrong. Do you get what I'm saying? So for me, it's like it's that thing of like, is it nature or nurture? They both play a
That's
similar
interact
role.
with each other.
One doesn't exist without the other.
Can I just say this though, because you've said this before, yeah, and when you said it, I think I even stole your tweet. You said I don't want to be around people that I don't like the anti-negative gang. Because I like to be around people that can embrace the whole spectrum.
Yeah, you know, these people who are talking about
This isn't
positivity.
to say that the only music you should listen to is happy, positive music.
No,
Because
that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a spectrum of music. DMX, makes very dark music.
And you
I
have a
love
dark side.
DMX is my favourite rapper.
There's a level of spirituality in DMX.
Come on,
in the
DMX
sense
is a
that
fucking
it's
poet.
deep.
Don't you?
That was deviant.
Talk about slipping as a track.
See what I'm saying?
Slipping.
It's not moronic surface based.
Yeah.
Talk about
You know?
Look at my
I
car. Look at my
don't think Future, because this is what we're talking about.
Percocet.
You take taking one example.
No,
What is that?
and that's
I
one
need
of
to leave the house.
See, there's this misconception when I talk about hip hop. Snip just wants to hear positive shit.
No,
I want to hear art.
I want to hear
Yeah.
art.
I believe Future is
someone in
art.
the
I
face.
believe Future is
That's
art.
true. And you're saying it in a way that makes me understand why you feel like that.
Yeah.
Then it's art.
Yeah,
And I said, I don't want to go and shoot.
Future is
I can
art.
listen to Styles P and be like, Styles P is as important to hip hop
But then
as Talib Kweli or whoever else. You know.
So you see that drug tune? Do you think that he was like, yo, like I've got this inspiration, I'm feeling inspired, and I need to put this art out? Or was he thinking there's a whole bunch of people out
This is
there
a man
that
who said
take
that he
purpose
doesn't
and
even take
money?
the drugs.
Exactly,
Oh my
and he
God,
just
you're
wants to get some money from you. That's not how people make. That's not art. That's a product. That's just a product. That's a commercial product.
If we're
It's not
specifically
art.
talking about the Molly Percocet tune, then yes, you're fucking
How many are there like that? How many are there like that?
These
So
artists are
many.
laughing. These artists are literally like, how stupid. Like, this audience is so stupid. Let me see just how stupid I can take.
They are. They're laughing.
I'm gonna make a song.
They are laughing.
Patronizing people there.
Shit. What? Shit.
I'm not stupid.
Shit.
Listen.
Shit. What?
You may not be stupid, but we can be ignorant. You may not be stupid, but we can be ignorant as people. He doesn't have to be stupid,
I
we
feel
can
like,
be ignorant.
like you were talking about, like these artists have managed to tap into a part of our spirituality, all right, which we all have.
No,
by the way.
I don't know spirituality. Energy.
Energy.
Energy is not even
Like,
like
ask you something. If you like some of Future's
Yeah, it's
music,
about
do you listen to the countless other trap artists that aren't as popular as Future?
Not necessarily.
Why not?
Because you just
Because
so into the vibe.
If you really like Future, why haven't you gone and researched all the other artists?
Because that's what you do.
Because that's what you do. Because
because if
I
you're
really like
copying-
Kendrick Lamar,
if
and
you're
I like Joey
copying
Badass.
Future- if you-
I went and researched all the other artists that sound like them because that's the
Sound
style
that
of
you
music
like.
that I
you
like.
enjoy.
That's
So
the
I wanna
art
know,
you
even the
enjoy.
underground shit that no one's ever heard of. If it's in that vein, I want to go and research it. So why do all these people that like Future? Why don't they listen to all the other trap artists that sound like that?
Because if you're
Because
copying
it's
Future,
fanning. People are just
actually
they're just
like it.
fanning
You're
off
fangirling.
celebrity. You're just fanning.
You're fangirling. You're fangirling.
you
You are fangirling.
One at a time. Whoa!
Fangirl.
I don't know how to pronounce it. But like, there's different iterations. So like, I also think what T-Pain did with autotune. That was like a step forward. And
I don't know if it was a step forward, it was definitely revolutionary.
Well,
Definitely
yeah,
was a revolution.
he tried the thing.
so that's open to like opinion, isn't
What
it?
great stuff has come from T-Pain? What great music has come as
Ah, she got me. I'm in love with a stripper.
Bartender.
No, T-Pain, if you're watching, we love you.
You see,
He's like, get me out of this music.
I come from the same era you come from, right? I love hip hop. I'm a boom bap guy, right?
Same.
Yeah, but the thing is, things move forward, things
Yeah,
evolve.
we got everything that moves.
You got to talk one at a time. You got to talk one at a time. People are like cannot understand what's going on. One at a time. You got to talk one at a time.
Everything that moves forward be progressive. Everything that moves forward progressive.
I would say the addition of melody into like matching rap,
Oh, so
okay,
people
rap
never had melody,
with
no?
melody. He did, but it's on a different level now.
Yes, it's different.
What? It's on an assisted level with computers in order to have.
Still melody.
Complaining of, right? What, you know my engineer?
I feel like Ludacris is doing that.
One at a time. One at a time. One at a
You know what my
time.
engineer said to me? My engineer said to me, he goes to me, Chima, look, complaining about autotune on a track right about now is like complaining about throwing an EQ on a track. Because when you record some
Okay,
shit,
so basically,
there's an art to autotune.
what he's saying is just accept shit. So complaining about Donald Trump. That's
No.
That's how it is.
No.
That's how it is.
No.
That's how it is. Just accept it.
I
Doesn't matter for shit.
love
Just
music.
accept it.
I love music. I love art. I love music. I love art. I'm a boom
Then
bap
stop
guy.
intellectualizing.
Same. That's everything you're doing. You're adding the depth that the artists don't add. You're adding the depth to it that they don't.
You're basically
You are.
standing
They
up
wouldn't
for
talk about it
Anything
like
to
this.
say?
happy to laugh at this.
You're gonna leave him out there by himself.
Laughing at the consumers has got nothing to do with the art. You can be an absolute dick. You can be a murderer.
No, but if you're laughing at the consumers because you can't believe they're stupid enough to buy something that you actually know is dog shit. Look at OG Mako. He put out a record and said, this is trash. I just wanted to see if people were stupid enough to buy it.
And y'all got it.
How the hell are we intellectualizing
In that
shit?
same sentence though, even though you can make music that you think is bullshit, it can accidentally stumble into a fucking field of it being okay. Because I know that OG Mako tune you're talking about. Yes, it's a fucking it's a fucking stupid, silly tune, but bro, it's still fucking banged.
Yeah, because people are stupid enough to write it.
No, I didn't even know it was fucking popular. I just remember hearing that tune and saying, what is this? I just remember knowing that
Yeah, that's the
this
thing
tune
as
was
well,
decent,
because
yeah?
a tune is not just like a tune is made out of all these different components. Do you see what I'm saying?
It's musical theory.
Yeah, there's all these different components. So a beat or something can
It's
resonate
nursery
with
rhyme
you.
patterns.
Do you know what I mean? Can resonate with you. And someone can sit down
It's a trance.
Talk one at a time. You talk one at a time, seriously.
Let Snips say what he's saying.
I did a degree in music, recently, and one of the things we studied was the fact that anything can become popular. Literally, repetition can make anything become popular. Even so much as popular music. When I say popular music, I mean everything. Like anything that uses our theory system of the scales of the chords that we use.
It is. It literally is.
If I play to you a chord that's like a first, third, and fifth, it sounds pleasing to the ear because that's what you've ever heard. There are certain notes between notes that if I play to you, you think, "But that sounds out of key." But it's only because you've been all you've ever heard is this. So in any music, if you hear it enough, and that is what is presented to you. And then you go to a club where everybody who's heard it a million times all goes wild when it comes on. That energy.
Yeah, you internalize it.
And it's like, this is a banger.
Yeah.
But listen, bro, imagine.
I never rocked the Spice Girls. In the club, but.
If you come raving with me, you go, yeah, when you hear them tunes.
That's been drummed in my head for fucking.
That's a good point.
I get your point.
But I guarantee you, if you were super drunk,
Yeah,
and I
but
played
also-
Spice Girls and Living Proof, and everyone lost their mind, you'd be like, fuck it.
No, but
Take it back, it'd be the
also,
start.
do you know what it is? Just like he spoke about that experience when you're in a club and then everyone goes nuts. Like you have a memory, like do you know what I mean? And you attach, like so you have good box and bad box. So that goes into good box. Whenever you hear that tune, good box. Do you know what I mean? When you hear Spice Girls, that probably reminds you of a time where if you were singing Spice Girls in the playground, everyone's like, "Fam, are you gay?" or something like this. It's not good. It's in the bad box. So you hear some Spice Girls and you're like,
You see those southern churches, You see those southern churches where the pastor comes up and does this and everyone falls back. Like if you did that to me, I would stand there and then look at you and be like, well, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Obviously the excuse would be, well, you're not a believer, which is why you didn't catch the Holy Ghost or whatever. There's no Holy Ghost. Those people are in a essentially a spiritual experience, a trance, where there's a collective consciousness of you.
yes.
And they believe that it's happening. When you go to a club and a tune gets dropped and you see everybody like rise up, if you're there, you
It's
But
happening.
then,
Indulge yourself in that
I'd
energy.
explain somebody like me, right, or T, who I enjoy both sides of rap in terms of the intellectual rap, and I don't agree with you. I think I like mumble rap, but I think it's shit. I know it's shit. But I enjoy it.
Yes, and that's a really honest answer. That's
That's why it's one of McDonald's.
Intellectually, you can't intellectualize mumble rap. How are you gonna intellectualize Lil Uzi Vert or Lil Yachty? It's impossible.
Is that what it's called? Mumble rap.
I'm saying future, but even capture the future in the same.
You said you enjoy it, which I don't doubt that you do.
Cool.
Right? If you come to a club and playing that tomorrow, and I play a mumble rap song that you've never ever heard, I bet you're not gonna wild out to it. I bet you're gonna be like,
I don't know.
If the beat is
The beat is massive. I'm in a club and I've had a drink.
Mumble rap, that's what I'm saying.
With mumble rap, it's not a beat.
Trust me, I've been DJing for
I
the
DJ
most
as
part
well.
of my life. And what I'm saying is if you play records that people don't know, they don't move.
No.
Brixton's more versatile.
If it's
Brixton's
a
more
similar
versatile.
side, so for example, Young Thug, Wyclef Jean, that tune when it came out, no one knew it. I played in gentrified Brixton, right? But I dropped it. But because it's got that same, those trap drums.
Again,
People think they know it.
memory.
But that's
Memory.
Can I say that's like what you were saying with those
You
notes.
can recognize that.
If it sounds the same, it's like,
I'm playing.
You're playing to specialist crowds.
I'm
You're
playing
playing
to the hip hop crowd.
Exactly,
Who are the exact crowd that you're saying, the little boys club. That it's not about music. It's about being cool.
Brixton's an
And
older
for
crowd,
them,
I'd say.
if they don't know the
It's
song,
an older crowd.
dead. They will look at me like, what the fuck are you playing? Until next month when they've heard it 10 times. Oh, what are you gonna play that such and
I
such
heard
song?
that. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. How do you explain somebody like me?
But you're being honest though. I don't think you need to
I
explain.
will say this though. Like the crowds you play to, especially Living Proof crowd, a lot of being at Living Proof is just like, look how cool I am.
Yeah.
If the crowds you're talking about, these motherfuckers just want to go and get nuts.
Yeah.
So they approach the clubs
Yeah,
differently.
See what the hip hop crowd is. It is that crowd of look how cool I am.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So therefore, it's more important for them to know what's deemed cool for them to move to it.
Brixton's a different energy, I think.
Go to a party when these white boys want to get wasted, they don't give a fuck.
Being is tough. They're like, oh,
No, but you know what
shit.
it's mad?
That's
I've
me,
always
bro.
said this, and now it's so mad. I can play more hip hop, to a random crowd of white people that don't know what the fuck I'm playing than I can to a predominantly black hip hop audience. I can actually because
What
that
a
random
shame.
crowd of white.
What a
that random
shame.
crowd of white
But
people
what a
don't
fucking
care.
shame. It's not about facts. What a fucking shame, Jam. Jesus, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed.
I'll play at some random pub
Yeah.
where it's like a bunch of white people. I'll play fucking special ed records and they'll dance to it. Let me you try and play a special ed record.
You know, so not cool. All that Shoreditch scene is so uncool, realistically.
it's
Like,
not
let's be real. You're not cool. You're there for image. It's all about aesthetic. Like, come on, like the music, man. Let's preserve music.
I want to ask you this question though, Snips. It's kind of like, it's interesting because you're a purist and you obviously we've just been discussing music for like however long
I
we've been
think we
discussing
can say
it.
that. Just
But
music.
this is your club. What are you doing to change it? It's your fucking life.
Listen.
He's not paying the bills.
And he's got tradition. He's got tradition.
Let me be very, very clear. I'm not fucking like I'm proud and I embrace my brand and I understand that. Listen, I play hip hop. Hip hop is not always going to be in the state that I want it to be in. And if you love something and something is important to you, you ride through it through the good times and the bad times. And right now I think hip hop is in a bad time. But essentially, I do what I can to play as much music that I believe in. But I also play to what the crowd want to hear. And I love the brand that I've built, and I love the fact that people come and they enjoy it. People that come to Liverpool fucking enjoy themselves. I might not share the same music taste that they.
And that's part of being a DJ as well.
And I hope that things will change, and then eventually, things do go in cycles, and there'll come a time where a lot of the hip hop that I can play in the club is stuff that I fully believe in and that I enjoy. At the moment, it's not so much, but it's not to say that I don't appreciate and feel passionately about it, and that I'm not. That I don't like the crowd to come. I like the crowd to come. I enjoy playing to that crowd. I just think that right now it's not that there's a problem with the crowd. It's that there's a problem with the music currently, and that's what the crowd are gravitating towards. So it is what it is. You ride it out, and hopefully, music.
I support Arsenal, innit? Like, we're fucked at the
Ride it out.
moment. I'm riding it out.
This is a strong man.
Sometimes your fans are pricks.
Worst fans in history. Arsenal have the worst fucking fans.
They're loyal, man. Leave them alone.
But it's a good analogy. Sometimes I look at the crowd and I think, fuck, hip hop's in the cunt of a crowd sometimes. But like, you love it. And you do it because of the people that you love it, and hopefully things kind of come back.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That's how I look at it. So when I criticize, like, I use Living Proof as an example because that's my biggest night that I play because that's the night that I run. But it's not Living Proof. It's everywhere. It's all the hip hop parties that I play. It's all, there's a common theme that is frustrating within all of these crowds that I play to, and fucking.
My friend heard you play in New York, and she said she hasn't, like, in New York they don't normally even play like classics anymore. They're normally just playing.
Yes, me and Harriet need to talk because I need to take her to the places that I go to in New York.
Okay.
Because I definitely I go to the.
Because she was like, no, from what she's hearing in Harlem, it's just.
Snips is in the bits.
Not even just knowing the little
Alright, let's wrap it up. Let's just go around and get some final thoughts on, I guess, the future of UK rap. If we're ever going to see a British guy on the XXL freshman cover.
Woo! Hey, I mean, it's 2017. We're embracing a lot of difference. We're in the era of change. It could happen.
Is that XXL even going to be relevant in 5 years? Like, I don't know. Like, I think we should stop giving a fuck.
Yeah.
I think the population of, like, London is the New York of Europe, not just of England. It's the New York of Europe. And if you look at the population of Europe and the audience within Europe, do we really need a US cosign to be hugely successful and make a huge impact with our culture? I don't think we do. So I think just get off your fucking high horse of entitlement and thinking America has to embrace everything that we do. They don't, and nor should they. Same way we don't embrace Australian rap. Like, just fucking do us and yeah.
I have a vested interest as a hip hop artist. I'd like to see UK hip hop. I'd like to see the scene get stronger. I'd like to see it evolve outside it just being like the tight knit thing, the grime boys, and I'd like to see it being accepted worldwide, because if that develops, then I think our output as a country musically can be a lot more interesting, respected, and the majority of UK rap wouldn't be the embarrassment that I think it is currently, personally.
Well, I'm going to ride for the creatives here, so yeah, keep doing what you're doing. But obviously, just stay true to yourself. Find like a place where you're comfortable with, and yeah, don't adopt other people's styles. Like, let's stay organic to ourselves. Rep on London. How can I do London town?
For me, it is what it is. There's a lot of great music out there. A lot of great UK. There's a lot of great rap and hip hop music out there that's from the UK. As in, two artists go and check out 808 Inc. and Oscar World Peace, and tell me those ain't two groups of people making music that's fucking sick and it's rap. So I'm a bit like, I don't give a fuck. There's no big deal. There's no big issue for me, man. It's just whatever. This is what it is.
I agree with Snips, man. Like, stop seeing the US as daddy. You know what I mean? Like, we're our own daddy. Go make kids in the UK. Basically, stop being. What's the best way to put it? Well, it's like Alicia said. Just be organic to yourself. If it means that don't ever like get rid of what makes you unique. Like I was saying throughout the whole talk.
Stop. Allow the obsequiousness, basically.
Boom.
Ew. Cheers. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with Snips and everyone really, and just, yeah, why don't we all just link up with the rest of our buddies just over there in Europe or the rest of England, and yeah, make music that way. Essentially, Drake's a great artist, Giggs is a great artist, Skepta's a great artist. They came together and made a bit of art. There is no need to cry about it. Just listen to it or don't listen to it. That's it.
Cool.